This is day 602 of the Arukh HaShulchan Yomi. You are the sponsor of coming share more of the Arukh HaShulchan Yomi. Please come me directly. Be very greatly appreciated. Today we're doing Siman Shin Nun A, Chaf Aleph. Oh, actually we did it last night yesterday because it's the last sif in the Siman. So therefore we included it in yesterday's Arukh HaShulchan. Today we're doing Shin Nun Vav Aleph to Shin Nun Zayin Aleph. Din Amos Hamayim Overes B'Chatzer. The halacha of a water ditch that goes to a courtyard. If you have a water ditch that goes to a courtyard, can't take water out on Shabbos. Please say Tziyam, because there's a wall of 10 fachim at the entrance and at the exit. You have a water ditch which comes from a distance, and comes through your courtyard. On this side, and goes to the other side, and continues further. Therefore, if it's 10 deep by 4 by 4, obviously it is 4 by 4 in one direction. It's 4 tvachim wide. It's not negated to the chotzer. Like all other things, which would have the halacha of yachid. That's if we wouldn't go beyond Rishus Yachid. But here it goes beyond Rishus Yachid and traverses it and goes out. And therefore it has a lot of karmelis. It's a separate karmelis passing through the Rishus Yachid. Can't take water from inner to the chotzer and vice versa. If it's not 10 fachim deep, it's not 4 fachim wide. It's not significant. Even though it traverses the chotzer. But Taylor chotzer dinikush yachid, it's butts into the chotzer, and its halacha is that of Rishus Yachid. Came by tikkun she's bayer, also with the fix, which we're going to explain. It divides up the part which is in the chotzer from the part outside of it, which makes it okay. Base, but and this tikkun is also mechitza asor b'knisa b'yitzia, to make a wall 10 tefachim high when it comes in and when it goes out. Find otisha tefachim butz l'mayim v'tefachim mitoch hamayim, which is either 9 tefachim outside the water and 1 tefach inside the water. Otisha b'toch hamayim, or 9 inside the water v'tefach l'mal min hamayim. To have above the water, they have deal with mayim l'mayim. The distinguish between the water inside the water outside. Before we said the mechitza doesn't have to be even near the water; it could just be on top. It has to be in the water. Why do we require that some of the wall be inside the water here? It's not comparable. For Rabbeinu Sham, the heter mechitza tluy b'mayim tzorich lios heker sheina seis l'shem heter mechitza. The walls which you use to make a mechitza tluya with water has to be clear that's made for the purpose of a mechitza. And that's why walls of the hanging outhouse don't work, because they're not made to go down into the water. There's no gurachis in that case. So according to this works out well. The Betzustra, by the Betzustra, where you draw water through the hole. Everybody sees that the walls in the Betzustra are made for the heter. The answer should remind us they don't have to reach the water, because they still don't have to go in the water. That's a mayim lotu mechitzos. For the water, the mechitzos not going to work anyway. The misavim milata, because they're all going to get mixed up below. That's not the case by the ditch or the canal going through the chotzer. Inasa mechitza mal min hamayim. Break a wall above the water. Lo tia shum heker. It's not going to be. We won't recognize that it's for the water. Sheizu mechitza chotzer. The mechitza of the chotzer. Looks like the wall of the chotzer. Chayetziru should take tzatz. Mechitza tochamayim. That's what they made. Require that some of the mechitza be in the water. The b'zeh minka shinasa l'shem heter. With this, you can. It's recognizable that it's made for the purpose of the heter. Nowadays, the custom is to when you have a tool, when you have, and people, there are a lot of people build who are not aware of this, but when you have a waterway of this sort, or ditch or a river going from inside the air to outside the river, that's a problem. So normally you fix it nowadays with Tzuras Pesach, and that was a mechitza. Tzuras Pesach is more effective, but of course Tzuras Pesach can't just be standing there. It's got to be linked up to walls or Tzuras Pesach, which continue further on each side. Kimov Dad Bedin Ze Ein Chilukim Nichas Amos Amay Chotzer Baruch Me'aser Amo or Pachos. Doesn't matter for this halacha if the width of the canal is more or less than 10 amos. Ben Shnichas Milu Van Shloshuk Tzas Mechitzos Me'chotzer Minatzad. Whether it comes in completely, in other words, it takes there are no walls left on either side of the canal, on the side where it comes in, the side where it goes out. Ben Lonichas Milo, or if it's only partial, Shishuk Tzad Mechitzos, Pachas Mesa, there's some walls still standing on each side and are still there, and it's less than 10 amos. Come Asam Asam Mechotzer. You can't fill water from into the Chotzer. That's the Mechitzos. What about what you're going to see later on? That if you have a little inlet coming off the sea into the yard, now you're allowed. There's no prohibition to take from that inlet into chotzer. Unless the pirza is more than 10 amos, or takes up an entire side. But otherwise, you can take water from into the courtyard. It's not comparable. Thus, the nifratz market side because there the inlet is only on one side of the chotzer. The dino kachal pirza is like any other opening. The pachas me'esem nishu gifufim. If there's less than 10 and there are wall parts of the wall on each side of that opening, dino kapesam and also the halacha is that they're like an opening that doesn't answer. Shega mamas amayim, as opposed to this ditch which we're talking about here, shneim shav derech chotzim shnei tzayim, which traverses the yard from one side to the other side. Everybody could see that it flows through the chotzer and goes beyond on each side. When it's considered independent, you can't consider to be have the status of a Pesach. Because it goes from side to side. Therefore, even it's less than 10 amos, and it's not an entire side. You can't draw water from it into the chotzer. It says in the brackets of Manti B'divi Aritva. Nevertheless, if it's not 10 fucking deep, or if it's not 4 fucking wide, it's insignificant, and it's negated to the chotzer. If the canal, the ditch coming to chotzer is less than 3 fucking wide, doesn't require any tikkun. Anything less than 3, it's as if it's sealed off, even when the water is flowing. And even coming in several places, as long as each place is less than 3 tvachim, lavchum, it's not problem. Therefore, he began to make the walls from all sides and didn't complete them. He didn't connect in the middle. He didn't make a special wall as befits that canal. He made isn't 3 tvachim gap. Well, it's actually talking about walls in general. Any wall where there's a less than 3 tvachim gap, it's not a gap. Also, there's 3 tvachim and there's the canal right there. It's also. And Chatchila says and Chatchila, as long as it's more than 3 tvachim, it's a problem. Even though we say normally a makom chashuv is 4 tvachim, but Chatchila, if it's more than 3 tvachim, we should fix it. The pachas mishlo 4 tvachim enim kom chashivas, even though it's anything less than 4 tvachim is not significant space. Nevertheless, nevertheless, if the canal itself is 4 across and 10 deep, it asks the break up even if the break itself is less than 4. He says brackets here, the 4 tvachim might tzarich mechitzos v'utamua. Not sure what it means. It's not obvious. Maybe it's supposed to say 3. That means mechitzos. As long as the the amma itself is 4 tefachim wide, even if the gap in the wall is even if there's yeah. So we're talking about obviously where the hole, the trench itself is 4 tefachim. It's 10 tefachim by 4 across. But and they put a wall on top. But then there's a gap in the wall of 3 tefachim, 3.1. Right, that's not good. Even though normally you'd say that less than 4 is not chashuv, but here because there's more than 4 on the bottom, and there's not loved on top sitting in the wall, it's no good, and that's why he says changes the 4 to the 3 in the Taz. Hey, v'day you should know the codes and until to amayim yahama. This also taking water from the canal. Avushi te'amo seres kol chotzer taltabo, but that the canal, the ditch should ask the entire chotzer to carry. Ain't oser, does not aser because it's a separate shus. V'lomi by pachas mesin yishtaru gifufim, and it goes the same less than 10 amos wide, and there's still walls on each side. If you nifras yosim yasor, but even it's more than 10 amos wide, or shibetz b'milu, or its entire side is open, ain't oser, it doesn't aser. Since it's 10 deep and 4 wide, the walls of the canal become a wall and separated from the rest of the yard. And even if it's beginning when it enters the yard, it's not 10 feet deep. If within 4 amos of the opening, it goes 10 tefachim. There's 10 tefachim height. It's a mechitza. I'm not sure exactly. I'm not sure exactly why he's saying this. I think that's pushing. I guess if the slopes are slacker, it's obvious. I don't know why it's a chiddush. I mean, okay, it's not that way. If it's more than 10. If it's more than 10 amos of a breakage, or if it's the entire side of a wall. Vav chassid tov shnochar si beis chassid shnifetz of lashon yam over pirta. You have a chassid which is opened up and broken wall, and an extension of the sea passes by that opening. It may not be in miluo. If it's not the opening, it's not the full side of the wall, then asara, and it's also not more than 10 amos, the opening. You're allowed to take water from in there and bring them into the house. If it's open to the full extent of the wall, or she has asara 10 amos in nishar. It sounds like a mistake. It should be Eser, not Asara before it. Eser Amos. Because Asara Tvachim. If there are 10 foot high remains of the wall, and the water, but the water covers those Kidudim. Muta Maus and the allowed to fill up water in the yard. Also, if needs the bites can't take them in the house, I get also mechitza go by a soil mime. Let's make a wall 10 fucking mile on the water. There are no remnants of the wall. Also, if most of the chutzner not allowed to fill up, even to bring it to the chutzner. I can't show the end of the quote from the Tur and Shulchan Aruch. Zayin bir advarim. What it means? Shenifas the chutzner mitzad echad. A chutzner is open on one side, but nichnas bo l'shon yom, and the inlet from the sea comes into the chutzner. If it's less than 10 amos wide, it's not the whole wall. Have a capacity, it's an opening. Water which comes in, it's like a well in the chotzer, and the walls of the chotzer divided from the water of the sea which is in front of the chotzer. It's not like the ditch which goes from side to side of the chotzer. But if the gap is more than 10 amos, or the whole side, forbids the chutzner altogether after the Talmud now they carry inside the chutzner because it's parts of Makam Arsalo. Different Makam Arsalo. The Nishar Gedudim Asara, but if they're remnants of the wall 10 tefachim high, v'nirim, and they can be seen, huchal gamri. It's permitted altogether. Hein talta b'chotzer, but where to carry in the chotzer. Hein l'shomi amayim, or to draw from the water from the part inlet which comes into the chotzer, lavin l'bayis, and to bring it into the house. Bring them into the house. Because there's a wall there. But if you can't see them, a mime over him, the water passes over them. The mouse may a mime, but chotzer mutter. You still have to fill up water for the chotzer in the chotzer. Because they're a wall, even though they're covered. Because sometimes water level will sink. Those walls will be seen. Living a bites and in the water into the house, also it's forbidden. So bites any kind of mechitzos. From the house, you can't see those walls at all. Never see if the inlet is 10 tefachim deep, ain't also till the b'chotzer. Obviously, it's a place unto itself. It doesn't forbid carrying the chotzer. Its banks are considered to be a walk. Much like hey, see if like you said before about the ditch going through the yard. Of course, you can't take water from it. Since there's no fence on top of it, I've seen no mime to interrupt between it and the water outside. Because it's broken all through the entire side. Yosim or more Tanamas, so Yam Havikamas, and the water in the sea is like a karmas. By the way, it's not just the sea, it's a lake, pond, many bodies of water. Don't ask why we're not afraid that sediment will pile up on these gidudim and obscure them. So we shall see later on. Perhaps story about where the remnants of the wall are very high, or it's very different from where the sediment piles up on the seashore. The Rambam has a different opinion, or HaShulchan does not see it worthwhile to bring it down. Shinun Zayin, Din Shpoch Mayim L'Chotzer V'Din Biv, to pour water into a yard, and a halacha of a drain, sewage ditch. If the chotzer is less than 4 amos, 4x4, ain't shavim b'soga mayim b'Shabbos. You can't pour water into on Shabbos. Unless they made for it some sort of hole which holds two saws below the hole. The hole can be either inside or outside. But if it's outside, you have to cover it over. If it's inside, you don't have to cover it over. What does it mean? To pour water into the chotzer and then it will spill out into shusarabim, that's totally awesome. Because through his koach, they're going to shusarabim. His koach in a karmas is not awesome. Shusarabim awesome, and shusarabim is forbidden. It's possible even this is the rice of Shem Skavin Lakach. He has in mind, or it's about necessity to go out to Rishus Rabim. The Kochel Gekufa Dami. His strength is like his body. The piece of Chotzer Kodah, some Rishus Rabim, that's the case by a small Chotzer which is adjacent to Rishus Rabim. When he spills into Yarva Mayim, the water goes out to Rishus Rabim. Kavar Isul de Oraisa. It's a Torah prohibition involved. So therefore they had to find a takana for this, as we shall explain.